If you're planning to travel to or from the United States at any point in 2026, whether you're a U.S. citizen, a green card holder, a visa holder, or a visitor, you need to be aware of a major shift that's already underway at airports and ports of entry. More automated, data-driven traveler screening, and more frequent referrals to secondary inspection for certain profiles. Knowing what tends to trigger extra screening can be the difference between a normal entry and being pulled aside for extended questioning, baggage review, or device inspection, often with no clear explanation in the moment. I'm Michael, and this is U.S. Policy Brief. My job is to translate immigration and border policy into plain, practical guidance so you can travel prepared instead of surprised. Stay with me until the end, because I'm going to explain how modern screening works, who tends to get extra attention, and exactly what you can do now to reduce delays and protect yourself if you're referred for additional inspection. It's also normal to feel uneasy when you hear enhanced vetting or new screening. You may worry that a past trip, a prior visa issue, your country of citizenship, or even something as simple as an indirect flight route could cause problems. Those concerns are reasonable. The purpose of this video is not to scare you. It's to give you clarity. When you understand what CBP officers are evaluating and what you should have ready, you can respond calmly and move through the process with far less stress. What's actually changing in 2026? In simple terms, CBP has used databases and watch lists for years. Traditionally, officers compared your passport and travel documents against known records, warrants, prior immigration violations, criminal alerts, terrorism-related watch lists, and previous CBP encounters. If there was a direct match, you were referred for additional review. What's expanding now is the reliance on automated risk-based screening. Instead of only reacting to hard matches on a list, modern screening systems can flag travelers based on patterns and combinations of factors, sometimes called risk indicators. That doesn't mean you're accused of anything. It means the system is recommending additional review because your profile matches patterns that CBP has been trained to look at. In practice, that means you may see more travelers being referred to secondary inspection, more questions about travel history and purpose, more scrutiny of document consistency, more attention to past immigration issues, even if they were resolved, more frequent checks tied to biometrics, photos, facial recognition, and travel timelines. This also ties into a long-term government goal that has been building for years: more complete entry-exit tracking, using biometrics and airline/port data to better confirm who departed and when. That travel timeline matters because it can change how CBP views your entry, especially for permanent residents. How risk indicators are commonly evaluated. CBP does not publish a public checklist that guarantees who will be sent to secondary. But based on CBP guidance, long-standing border practices, and how screening has evolved, these are some of the most common categories that increase the likelihood of extra review. 1. Travel pattern and routing. Frequent international travel, unusually complex routes, or repeated trips to locations considered higher security concern can trigger questions. Even when every trip is lawful, patterns like very short stays, last-minute bookings, or frequent multi-country itineraries can lead to added review. 2. Document issues or inconsistencies. This includes passports that appear damaged, mismatched names across documents, inconsistent birth dates, repeated replacements, or records that don't line up cleanly between airline data and government systems. Even small differences, like missing a middle name on a ticket, can create delays. 3. Prior U.S. immigration history. Past overstays, prior visa denials, prior secondary inspections, prior removal proceedings, even if terminated, prior misrepresentation findings, or unresolved status questions can all increase screening. These details often remain visible in government systems long after travelers assume the issue is over. 4. law enforcement, and security alerts. Classic triggers still matter: warrants, active investigations, or watch list hits. But in some cases, state and local records, including arrests without convictions, can contribute to additional screening, especially if records are incomplete or require clarification. 5. Cash and financial compliance flags. If you carry more than $10,000 or foreign equivalent in currency or monetary instruments, you must declare it. Proper declaration is legal, but it can lead to additional questions or documentation review. Certain types of cross-border financial patterns can also attract attention, particularly if combined with other indicators. 6. Associations and shared travel indicators. CBP may notice patterns involving traveling with certain companions repeatedly, links through shared addresses, sponsorship relationships, or other administrative connections. This doesn't mean guilty by association, but it can increase review if another linked record is already flagged. 7. Citizenship, nationality, and recent travel to specific regions. CBP states it does not target religion or ethnicity. Still, it is a reality that certain countries and regions receive higher scrutiny due to security policy and State Department designations. Even if you're not a citizen of a country of concern, recent travel there can increase questions. The key point: being flagged for secondary inspection does not automatically mean denial, deportation, or criminal suspicion. For many lawful travelers, it's a 10 to 30-minute review, a few extra questions, and then you're on your way. But for travelers who hit multiple indicators or have unresolved past issues, the review can take longer. Who is more likely to be sent to secondary inspection in 2026? Based on the factors above, these groups tend to face a higher likelihood of extra screening. Travelers who recently visited or transited through higher scrutiny countries, even for family or tourism. Green card holders returning after long trips abroad, especially trips near or over 180 days. This is important. Under U.S. law, a lawful permanent resident who has been outside the U.S. for more than 180 days can be treated as an applicant for admission in certain circumstances and may face more questioning. That is not an automatic loss of status, but it does increase scrutiny. People with complex or frequent international travel, for example, multiple international trips per year, multi-country itineraries, or repeated short stays abroad. Travelers with any prior immigration issue, such as an overstay, prior denial, prior removal proceedings, or prior fraud/misrepresentation findings, even if you believe it was resolved. Anyone carrying large sums of cash, even when properly declared, especially when combined with other risk indicators. And finally, travelers who appear highly anxious or inconsistent in primary inspection. CBP officers are trained to observe behavior, and nervousness alone is not a violation, but confusion, contradictions, or unclear answers can lead to referral. What you should do now: practical preparation. Here are steps you can take immediately to reduce delays and protect yourself if you're pulled aside. First, know your own travel history. If you traveled internationally often, create a simple list for the past 5 years: countries visited, dates, and purpose. If questioned, being able to answer clearly matters more than people realize. Second, check document consistency. Make sure your name, date of birth, and passport number align across your passport, ticket, visa, ESTA record, and any resident documents. If your name changed through marriage or court order, carry proof. Third, if you're a green card holder, track your days outside the U.S. and be ready to show U.S. ties if you've had extended absences. Useful evidence includes tax returns filed as a resident, proof of U.S. employment, a lease or mortgage, utility bills, and proof that your immediate family lives in the U.S. Fourth, declare what must be declared. If you carry more than $10,000, declare it. Keep medications in original containers. Don't try to avoid attention by under-declaring. Non-compliance creates far bigger problems than secondary inspection ever will. Fifth, prepare your mindset. If you're referred to secondary, stay calm, answer truthfully and briefly, and do not volunteer extra details beyond what's asked. Most delays get worse when travelers panic and start giving long, inconsistent explanations. Sixth, understand the reality of border authority. At the border, questioning can be broader than in the interior of the U.S. Citizens cannot be denied entry, but they can be delayed for verification. Green card holders have strong protections, but long absences, criminal issues, or prior immigration problems can increase risk. Visitors and visa holders have the least leverage and should be especially careful to answer consistently with the purpose of their entry. A real-world example of what this looks like. Here's a common scenario. A lawful permanent resident takes regular trips to visit elderly parents abroad. Under older feel, they might have been waved through quickly most times. Under more data-driven screening, the system may highlight repeated travel to certain regions, frequent trips, or time patterns that prompt extra questions. If that traveler walks into secondary with organized proof, job verification, tax filings, a U.S. lease, and a clear explanation, the outcome is often simply a delay. Without preparation, the same traveler can spend hours in review, face deeper questioning, and leave feeling shaken even if they're ultimately admitted. A note for older travelers and non-native English speakers. If you're a senior or English is difficult, you are not powerless in this process. You can request interpretation help if needed, ask for clarification, and take your time answering. Carry essential medical notes if you have conditions that affect communication or mobility. Organized documents reduce stress for everyone involved, including the officers reviewing your case. Final takeaway. Screening in 2026 is increasingly shaped by automation, data linkage, and risk indicators. That means more travelers may experience secondary inspection, even when they have done nothing wrong. For most lawful travelers, the impact is limited to time and inconvenience. The best protection is simple. Know your history, keep documents consistent, declare properly, and stay calm if you're referred for extra review. If this helped you understand what to expect, subscribe to U.S. Policy Brief and turn on notifications so you don't miss updates. And please, share this with anyone traveling in 2026, especially green card holders, students, and frequent international travelers. This video is for informational purposes only and isn't legal advice. Policies and practices can vary by airport and by individual circumstances. For personal guidance, consult official CBP resources or a qualified immigration attorney. If you want, tell me your travel status, citizen, LPR, visa, visitor, and your general travel pattern, frequent, rare, any trips near 6 months. And I'll suggest a customized document checklist for your situation.